$1 million salary, that is a monumental career achievement. But in the world of Manhattan real estate, it's something much more. It is the key that unlocks a completely different class of properties. At this level, you're no longer choosing between space and amenities. You're choosing between iconic lifestyles. In this video, I'll break down the incredible purchasing power that a seven-figure income gives you, around $4 million, and explore the choice between a grand pre-war residence with history and a very modern building with breathtaking views. I'll also show you how these two deals are fundamentally different. And to help you navigate this tier of the market, I have an updated luxury buyer's cheat sheet just for properties over $3 million, and I'll tell you how to get that at the end of this video. First, let's talk about the numbers. With a $1 million household income, that gives you a monthly income of around $83,000. Now, many buyers, especially if they're not familiar with how Manhattan real estate works, think that perhaps the rules at this level are somewhat different. They really aren't if you're purchasing in a co-op. Now, that may be true with a condo where there aren't as many rules, but if you're going to purchase into a co-op, generally speaking, a co-op wants to see a debt-to-income ratio of below 25%. Some are below 30, some will go down as far as 15%, especially when you're looking at more sophisticated buildings. So for this example, we're going to choose just a medium DTI of 28%. So when we take your monthly household income and multiply that by 0.28 or 28%, that gives us roughly $23,333 that you have for your total household budget. Now, what does that mean? In New York, that actually means if you're carrying a financed mortgage, your mortgage plus the maintenance or common charges. All of that cannot be spent on just your mortgage. It must be spent on those total household costs, which is going to include maintenance fees or common charges in Manhattan. Now, that gives you the power to comfortably target properties within the $4 to $5 million range, and that's great. But that number is only part of the story. The cash that you need to actually close in Manhattan is also very significant. Again, if you're not familiar with how Manhattan real estate works, the buildings in Manhattan, the individual buildings, are the ones who set the down payment requirements, not a bank. So a co-op in general is going to be looking for at least 20% down. They dictate that. So some co-ops will require 25% down, 30% down, even 40 or 45% down. A condo generally looks for 10% down. But for this example, let's assume that we're buying into a co-op. So on a $4 million property, you'll need 20% down, which is around $800,000. Now, for properties above $1 million, the city adds on what is called a mansion tax. That's on a sliding scale, but we're going to include that into your other closing costs and allow $150,000 for closing costs. In addition, almost every co-op will want to see what we call post-close liquidity, which is a certain amount of cash sitting in the bank at the time of closing. Understand that what you do with that cash after closing is entirely your business, but co-ops want to make sure that a new shareholder coming into the building is financially secure. So generally speaking, they want to see 2 years of maintenance and mortgage, those common fees and mortgage, in the bank at the time of closing. So for this example, we're going to allow $500,000 for post-close liquidity. So on a $4 million property, you need about $1.4 million in cash to make this deal happen. By the way, if you're finding this insight into the luxury market valuable and informative, you'll want to make sure that you hit the subscribe and like and notification buttons so that you can stay up to date on all the videos that we release on this channel. It is one of the best ways that you can stay ahead of the Manhattan market. The more information you have, the better. Now let's talk about this incredible lifestyle choice that you can make at this level of buying. With a $4 million budget, you get to choose between two iconic and wonderful Manhattan lifestyles. First, let's call this the legacy property. We're talking about a 3 or 4 bedroom home that is a sprawling New York City apartment in a landmark historical building. Think high-beamed ceilings, fireplaces, perhaps a view of Central Park, and rooms with classical historic proportions. There are incredible pre-war apartments in New York City City to be had at this price point. You're not just buying an apartment, you're buying a home that is a piece of New York history. Now, your other option, let's call this one the modern masterpiece. Now, this would obviously be in one of Manhattan's newer development buildings. They can be absolutely stunning. You're talking about maybe a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom that is a penthouse that may have 360-degree jaw-dropping views, floor-to-ceiling windows, unmatched world-class amenities, and the prestige of living in a modern architectural icon. So choosing between the historical and the modern is a terrific choice to have. But navigating a deal at this level does require a different level of expertise. So as promised, I have developed a luxury buyer's cheat sheet that focuses on properties above $3 million. You can download the free cheat sheet by going to the link in the description below. And as always, if you're a luxury buyer in the Manhattan market, I would be more than happy to help you find that dream home and help you navigate all of the pitfalls that you can go through when buying in the Manhattan market. All of my contact information is also below in the description, and I would look very forward to working with you. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe, like, and notification button, and I'll see you next time.